Well, I want to really thank everyone for their time today. It's really great to have such a robust and really a positive dialogue around what we're trying to do here in Oakland. As folks know, we have a $12 billion visionary project at the waterfront, a privately financed ballpark, 1.5 million square feet of commercial real estate, 3,000 housing units, including affordable housing, 250,000 square feet of retail, a performing arts center, and 18 acres of public open space. Right now it's just, fenced off. No one even can get on Howard Terminal. This is going to provide the ability for it to be open to the public, which is a really exciting thing. So that is the vision that we have at the waterfront. As folks know, we've spent the last 5 years really working as hard as we can to make Oakland work, to ensure the A's can stay here for many generations to come. We've held hundreds of community meetings. We've gotten input. We've gotten an understanding of what people want. We had a first effort at Laney College to build in the downtown urban core, and that failed. And about 3.5 years ago, we shifted to the mayor's preferred site at Howard Terminal, and we've spent over $200 million trying to get approval of this $12 billion project at the waterfront. As folks know, and we've expressed many times, the Bay Area Council has done many reports indicating over $7 billion in economic impact, 3,000 construction jobs, 7,000 permanent jobs just from the ballpark, even more from the surrounding areas that will come with the benefits of all these 2.5, almost 3 million people coming to the waterfront. So there's just a lot of incredibly exciting parts of this vision. It's a different vision for the waterfront. We realize that it's not the old maritime industrial use, but it's one that we think can coexist with that existing use in an effective way. Some of the key aspects to our financial framework that we spent a year working with city staff and the council on that I wanted to highlight. First of all, that there will be a separation. The on-site infrastructure, all of it, the hundreds of millions of dollars, is something that A's will invest in. And that'll be something we will take all the risk on that. And there will be an on-site IFD that potentially will use the project revenues to reimburse that investment if it happens. On the off-sites, the deferred maintenance that has not existed in Jack London Square, we see as a responsibility of the city, but the city can use the incremental tax benefits of our project to make that investment, which is a great thing. Basically using the economic activity that our ballpark and development creates to actually make the improvements that are necessary in Jack London Square, whether that's transportation, sea level rise, all the critical things that are needed to make that area thrive, railroad safety, things of that nature. So we still believe strongly that the two infrastructure financing districts are needed. They will generate $450 million in community benefits that can be used for affordable housing and other things that the community feels is necessary. That's an enormous number that will be generated by this project. We have $1 billion that will go to the general fund of Oakland that can fund city services, which is just a tremendous positive. Obviously, the privately financed stadium, $15 million in public art. And like I said, that 18 acres of public open space is just a tremendous benefit of this project. It's important to remember 134 unions have endorsed this project. That's more than any project in the history of the Bay Area, because they know that these are going to be good union jobs. We have agreements with unions to ensure that the jobs are positive, that we have workforce development as a key plank of our project. I want to specifically address 2 or 3 of the main criticisms that you heard from the public comment that we've heard when we've been around town talking to groups. And the first one is this notion that our project is going to somehow undermine the future of the Oakland port. This is completely a false narrative. It's important to remember that the Port Commission voted unanimously 2 years ago in favor of the project, that we spent a year with the Port Commission, their staff, in a really productive fashion, identifying ways to ensure that our project could coexist. We made significant concessions, things like having 10 acres of the site that could be used for a turning basin, having a buffer zone where housing would not be built close to the port use, and ensuring that our transportation plan had seaport compatibility measures that ensured that the freight transport and then the people and bikes and pedestrians were separated in an effective way. And that's what a lot of the infrastructure is going to go to doing. So that's going to really activate the Oakland waterfront in a positive way. So we're really happy about that agreement. And we think it's really critically important to remember that without our project, none of those things would happen. So what we really feel is that there's been a lot of fear mongering around the maritime interests. They're concerned on the project. The two can coexist in a harmonious way, and that we can have a thriving port with all the great jobs, and we can also have an incredible privately financed ballpark and entertainment and commercial district at Jack London Square. And that is our vision. The second issue that's been addressed a lot that I want to really take on head on is this notion that this is another Raiders deal. This is nothing like the Raiders deal. The Raiders deal, when they came back from Los Angeles, included the city and county paying for the ballpark. We are paying for the entire cost of the stadium. The A's are taking the risk, all the on-site risk. And that is something that is very important to understand. And the piece that's considered public financing is tax increment. It's but for tax money that only comes if the project is built out and the project happens. So it's not like these dollars could be used for something else. I heard a lot of people saying, oh, why don't we just use those dollars on education or other community benefits? Well, they only exist if the project happens. So using some of those dollars to ensure the project actually occurs is critically important in a really common way for projects of this scale to be done. Finally, this is our last option in Oakland. We had another downtown site that failed at Laney. We looked at all the additional options. We met with Major League Baseball. They've been very clear that the Coliseum site is not in the future for baseball in the 21st century. We need a downtown urban location, and that is Howard Terminal. That's why we are in a position now where it really is Howard Terminal or bust. Our existing lease of the Coliseum only goes through 2024. We have a situation where the facility is 10 years past its useful life, and we really have an obligation and a responsibility to get some type of resolution on this. This has been a 20-year saga. We really want to do what we can to stay in Oakland. We've invested. We're spending $2 million a month. We're committed to making that happen, but we need to see if the city council shares our vision for the waterfront ballpark and development or not. And that's why we are respectfully asking for a vote on our proposal, the one that we originally submitted to the city in January, that we made public in April, on July 20th. And we welcome any questions or observations or just input that this workshop and obviously the weeks between now and then can occur to hopefully get to a yes vote. So that really is the extent of kind of our opening remarks. And I will kick it over to the city staff, I think, who are going to do a more detailed analysis of our proposal and some of their points.